What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny's Indiana Jones in Review. That's right, we are ranking, reviewing, and recapping every single movie in the Indiana Jones universe. Of course, I'm Tim Indiana Jones, and I'm joined by the Nitro Rifle Andy Cortez.
Hey,
the new face of video games, making a rare appearance on In Review. Blessing Adeoye Jr.
You mentioned that I was in the intro for the show. I didn't realize that I was the only one in the intro for the show.
Well, that's the funny. It was you and Greg Miller. And when we got the screener invite for this, I was like, oh crap, who do I need to invite? What do I got to do? I just assumed it was the normal cast, right? And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, I'm going to look at the intro. Played the first 5 seconds. I was like, oh, bless. I forgot he was on this. The reason we did this in review in the first place is because they announced Indiana Jones video game back in 2021. And we were like, we've never seen these movies. So let's watch them for the first time. But I forgot that Greg Miller was also in it. And I didn't watch to the end of the intro where he does have a little appearance there. But he wouldn't have been able to make the screener anyway. So we get this motley crew, which is rounded out by the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Tim, I'm going to say something I rarely say. I don't think we should both wear the hat.
Yeah?
I think it's either all hats or one hat. And so you have the leather jacket as well.
You're the hat bookends to this. I think you're doing great.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it to Tim. I'm gonna give it to Tim.
Give it up. All right,
there you go.
That's fair.
There you go.
That is fair.
Wow.
Of course, as everybody knows, In Review
Ba-da-bum.
happens each.
Bum. Ba-da-ba-dum. Ba-da-ba-dum.
You're hearing a lot of noise podcast listeners. Greg Miller's rolling
It's
on
my
the ground.
Greg.
You got the hat.
So
Wow.
many things that could have gone wrong.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you almost kicked one of these screens.
Yeah, that
Do
was
the-
that. When he pitched me that bit earlier, I did not think it was gonna be as violent.
That was
very
violent. That was powerful.
There's gonna be so many bruises on that pale white body.
God.
It is. Oh my god, I love that now I'm the one in the hat. You know what I mean? I
like it.
I love that before we even started this, I was like, Nick, should we both wear that or just one of us? And I like that now this ends in just me. And
Yeah, well, it's a redundancy.
It's giving Pharrell and Happy.
you know what?
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that, I guess. The hat will not exist this entire show. I'm already getting a little hotter than I'd want to be. Kev, I need you in there. I need you in there ASAP, all right? Because I need to let people know something. I need people to see something. Last night, we got to go to this movie screening. We got to watch Indiana Jones. Andy and Nick did a little photo shoot in the front, and then eventually we got the hats. Before you show this, before you bring it up, Kev,
Father and son.
I do just want to put out there that they did a little trivia game but to hype up the audience, and the winners got the hat. And there was a lot of fans in the audience as well, so people were really fervorous about getting this hat, right? And Nick did not participate in the trivia. Nick just completely unsolicited to the host, just like, I really like your shirt, in the most Nick way.
Wait, that was Nick? I thought that was a random I legitimately, I was like, oh, who's that annoying person in the audience?
This guy.
And so I was like, yeah, and he threw Nick a hat. So then Nick got to keep the hat. And then after the show, they were like, do you want a hat? And I was like, yeah, know what? Why not?
Yeah.
Sure. So now I have one too. But before that happened, it resulted in a amazing little press photo that Andy and Nick took. I'd like to look at that now, Kev, if you can bring it up. There we go.
Okay. All right. I see where we're at here, folks. I understand what's happening here.
Thank you, Ben. Please be excited for.
You're getting blocked on my Twitter feed.
Please be
You're getting
excited.
blocked.
You look so happy.
Didn't make too many changes to this, but there are a couple changes. But I love this picture so much.
I hate you all. I hate you.
Anyways, this is Kinda Funny's In Review. Each and every week, we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. You can get it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You could also get it on podcast services by searching for Kinda Funny In Review, and we'll be right there for you. We've done pretty much every single week some entry in a major franchise the last couple months, so you can go check all of those out. And we're going to continue to do that as the weeks and months go on here. If you want to get that ad-free and watch live as we record them, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, and Nathan Lamoth have done. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays, but I'll tell you about that later. We're talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. With a runtime of 2 hours and 34 minutes, it was released on June 30th, 2023, my birthday. It was directed by James Mangold. In 1985, Mangold secured a writer-director deal at Disney. He wrote a television movie, and he co-wrote the animated feature Oliver and Company.
What's that
You guys
about?
ever watch Oliver and Company?
Nope.
Is that about a little cat?
It's a dog and a cat hanging out. Yeah.
What do they
Cute
do?
Little movie.
They start a company.
Play a piano for a little bit. Yeah.
Start LLC.
They get into like taxes.
Now, I don't know if you know this, Nick. I really hope that you don't know this because we're recording these interviews a little out of order. We already saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. So yesterday we actually recorded that interview that's going to go live next week for everybody to see. During that interview, we talked about a very specific thing a lot.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit more about it today, Andy. And I don't think you expect where this is going.
Oh man.
James Mangold, director. Bless, do you know what we know him from?
No.
James Mangold directed Walk the Line, but also directed Ford v Ferrari, The Wolverine, and arguably most importantly, Logan. Right? Right? Now doing Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. Nick, do you know what else he directed?
No, those would be the hits.
What if I told you he directed Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz?
Wow, what the
Yep, makes a lot of
A
sense.
movie we talked about so much yesterday.
All right,
Bless.
twice I brought it up. Twice.
Is that weird?
Twice too many. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
That
universe,
movie-
the way the universe works.
He got better at directing. We'll just say that.
Let's just say that during Mission Impossible, we were talking. Nick didn't really like the little car chase sequences in the city, and Nick was like, you know what? It's because it reminds me of a movie called Night and Day with Cameron Diaz
And Tom Cruise.
and Tom. And now it's all coming full circle today. That is so bizarre.
Really
That's
weird.
Bizarre.
Really
Really
enough,
weird.
there's like a lot of bizarre connections between this movie and Mission Impossible in
You
ways
mean-
that like
Hold on, guys.
They're the exact same
They
movie.
haven't seen it. They haven't seen it. They haven't seen it. So, music's done by John Williams. Literally the GOAT. We say the GOAT about a lot of people, but
wait.
come on.
Sorry, does this review come out before?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so we will
Yes,
not
it does.
spoil Mission
Do
Impossible.
not
for
spoil
him.
Mission
Thank
Impossible.
you. That
Yeah.
you gotta spell it out for me. I'm done.
100%. Yeah. John Williams, the GOAT. Still making music for movies. Like, goddamn.
Okay, look at. Kids are gonna be sitting right, raising their kids 4 generations, 5 generations from now, right? All this, little Ben is gonna have great grandkids, and one of those great grandkids is gonna go, "Have you heard of John McPott, the greatest musical composer of ever?" And you're gonna go like this: "Fuck you, kid. John Williams is the GOAT. He'll always be the GOAT. The man could die 3,000 years from now. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT."
He's the GOAT. And then the budget of this was $295 million, which I only know this because we just recorded Mission Impossible yesterday, is more than Mission Impossible. So just something to keep in mind there. Yeah.
it was all the de-aging, yeah.
The lot.
Yeah.
The lot of de-aging.
So remember, this is a spoiler-filled review of Indiana Jones. We will not be spoiling Mission Impossible, but we will be spoiling Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny for you today. Bless, I want to start with you. What did you think of Indiana Jones 5? Oh, wow.
Like when you hit me up that I was on this in review, because I also forgot that I do Indiana Jones in review.
Right.
I've never felt so regretful to saying yes to a thing because, to give you a peek behind the curtain, for the KindaFunny Next Gen podcast, we've been doing this Rotten Tomatoes fantasy critic thing where, like, based on Rotten Tomatoes scores, we, like, it's like the video game one where whoever gets the most points wins. We draft a bunch of movies, all that. None of us drafted Indiana Jones, but I have been paying more attention to Rotten Tomatoes because of the thing. And so, like, I saw the Indiana Jones Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, okay, cool, a movie I'm not going to watch. And then Tim hits me up, and I'm like, shit, all right, here we go. And it's the day after we do Mission Impossible. I'm like, okay, I got 2 movies to watch back to back. All right, let's watch this Indiana Jones movie that sounds like it's possibly the worst Indiana Jones movie. For me, the best thing I can say about this movie is that it is not the worst Indiana Jones movie. It is a very fine, very okay film. I will even say that there are plenty of points in the movie that I was having a good time. I was having fun. I think it's a movie filled with a lot of flaws. I think it's a movie that is boring in quite a few places. I think it's a movie that maybe should not have done the de-aging thing because the de-aging was so aggressive and so uncanny to watch. But it wasn't terrible. Like, there were enough points and enough homages to what Indiana Jones is and a lot of, like, filling out his story as a character. And, like, a lot of that, do we need? No, but they did it and we got it. And I wasn't mad at a lot of it. So I'm coming out of this movie with fun time, but I don't think I'm ever going to watch this movie ever again.
Andy.
Just spot on. Like, this is such an okay movie, and it I think initially when we hear about the the 4-week-long standing ovation that occurred when they showed off this movie. It was 4 months long.
I think it was 5 months long.
5 months long. Standing ovation.
Still happening, actually. They showed it 2 months ago.
Still going on somewhere.
They got to keep feeding these people water.
You kind of like say to yourself, oh, wow, like this actually might be pretty decent. And then the initial reviews start coming out, start kind of bumming you out, and you go, oof, man, this is not going to be a great ending for this franchise. Possibly this might be the worst movie this summer. And I'm right there with Bless. I don't think this is a bad movie by any means. I don't think it's a movie that I would necessarily recommend going to the theater to watch. It just felt completely okay. It was so serviceable. It was like it did action decently enough, and then the third act hit, and I loved the third act. I left with a very good taste in my mouth because of what the third act did, and it was really fun and inventive, and like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. But aside from that, I agree with Bless. Kind of boring in a lot of spots. I wish we had more of the Uncharted, National Treasure sort of, I really enjoyed the parts where they're in this big temple and they love water displacement. Do the water displacement thing. And like, I love solving problems like that and kind of watching these characters in real time use their skills to move forward through these puzzle rooms. But yeah, it was just kind of boring for most of it, unfortunately. And I feel like I wish we had more Mads Mikkelsen in a more evil way. I feel like he was just kind of there. It could have been any villain, which sucks. Because I love Mads Mikkelsen as an actor.
It felt like his direction was give us nothing.
Yeah.
Be as like plain as possible. I'm right there with you in terms of I would have loved more out of Mads. And I think to your point, right, of like a lot of it was like kind of eh. I felt like it was like lacking energy in the movie. And I don't know if that was, Harrison Ford, he is very old. Like very, very old in this movie.
Yeah.
And then you also have Phoebe Waller-Bridges, who like I love Phoebe Waller-Bridges. I think she's fine in this movie, right? Like I wouldn't say she's phenomenal. I wouldn't say she's bad. She's kind of just there. And for me, there was an essential element of the movie that kept the energy up, that kept me like engaged in everything that was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, aside from that, I'd say if you don't really care about this franchise, this is not one I would recommend running out to theaters to go watch. But if you are like a super fan, I think it's worth watching since it is not a complete trash fire.
Yeah. Nick.
Tim, you ever get invited to a party on the weekend and you're like, it's not that I don't want to go to the party. It's just that I kind of have an expectation of what the party's going to be. Been to that party before. I like seeing my friends, right? But I could also just not go to the party. And then you go, no, I'm going to be a good friend. I'm going to go to the party. Sure enough, kind of exactly what you thought it was. And you get home and go, I didn't need to go to that party. I don't need to go. I have one of those this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, that's what this movie kind of was for me, where I was like, best case scenario for me was I was like, this is going to be a trash fire and we get to dunk on it and we get to say lots of really funny things and it's going to be entertaining and the whole world is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull again, where we can all unanimously just agree that movie just did not work on so many different levels from both a visual standpoint, a storytelling standpoint. The acting was over the top. The action was boring and weird and CG. This movie is the opposite of that. It's actually very middle of the road, pretty good in points, kind of boring in points. And so we have to be, unfortunately, professionals and be critical of it and talk about the virtues and the drawbacks of the movie. But overall, I walked out and you know what? I had a smile on my face. That the third act, I think, saves the movie. They do something very creative. And I wish that they had figured out a way to figure out that energy earlier on, because there's a moment at the very beginning of the movie where we're in New York City, which I thought was beautifully realized. And they're running around rooftops being chased by Nazis, and it's just fucking boring. I don't care. Harrison Ford on a horse riding through a parade for both the moon landing and a Vietnam protest should be interesting, but it just didn't work. And I can't really pinpoint why, other than it was, for me, it was kind of weird when it kicked off, because I was like, I miss, again, going back to some of my earlier points of other movies that we talked about, I miss when they have the other life. I miss when Harrison Ford was like the storied professor at a beautiful university and everyone loves him and it's like, that's his life, but nobody really knows he's like a superhero. Yeah. And in this one we found him broken, and that's fine. It was a choice. But it kind of dragged the movie down a lot for me at the beginning of it, along with the flashbacks and a lot of some of the other stuff. But by the end of it, I gotta say, I had a good time with Dial of Destiny. I think that the third act saved it, and I'm shocked that I could say this, and I'm happy that I can say this. It was leaps and bounds better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and that's kind of all that matters. Tim, what say you?
We're all kind of in the exact same place with this. I had a good time with this movie. Definitely not a great time, but not a bad time whatsoever. The last couple of weeks, we've been seeing a lot of movies, and during The Flash, I had the moment. My heart rate was racing. I checked my watch. I'm like, oh my God, my BPM's going up. During Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, a record-breaking 9 times I checked my watch. I want to let everyone know I checked my watch 13 times for this movie. Not a single one was because of my heart rate, though. I was just looking at the
How much
time.
longer
Like,
is it? Yeah.
how fucking long is this movie? I haven't checked my watch to be like, where are we in a movie this much ever? It is pretty boring at times. But when it's not boring, it grabs your attention. I feel like the rate at which it goes from like, to like, ooh. I'm like, okay, cool. There's an entertaining film here. It's just kind of like not that special overall. Having said that, the third act, the stuff you guys are talking about, pretty cool. I didn't expect them to go into it as much as they did. And with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, like the aliens are here was like kind of the big moment of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did that so poorly. Whereas this one, it's like, hey, motherfuckers, it's time travel. We're going to time travel. And we all know it's coming. But what they do with it, I'm like, you know what? That was kind of the best case scenario for an Indiana Jones movie.
Badass.
Kind of
It was
worked. Really
like-
cool.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, right? So I was impressed with that stuff. There's something about just like the vision of the film that I just don't vibe with in terms of it felt like James Mangold was trying to make it look like one of the old movies, which is a very stylistic choice. A lot of the matte painting type stuff, but they weren't matte paintings. It was like emulating that, and I couldn't get that out of my head the entire time.
I wanted it to look like Minority Report.
As-
Like, just lens flares all over the
Like
place.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But as much as I really didn't like this overly CG'd look of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I feel like I equally didn't like the look of this movie. Like it didn't work for me. I feel like the art design of like the New York and the parade and stuff, like that was cool, but the way it looked, the way it shot, it felt faker to me. It felt as fake as the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull CG, just different types
yeah,
of
no, I
fake.
totally feel that.
And it felt like it was emulating the old movies without actually like being the old movies. Having said that, I don't think it's that far off from any of the old movies. Like I was re-listening to some of our old thoughts on the other in reviews for Indiana Jones, and like I think this is in the conversation with the first trilogy. At the end of the day, I don't know that it's actually better than any of them, but like I don't think it's that far off. But I do think the runtime is one of the things that kind of pulls away and like brings it down a bit. Phoebe Waller-Bridges,
Bridge.
just Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Bridge.
Yep.
No S at all.
Is there another Phoebe?
There's not an R?
Is there another Phoebe?
No, I thought so too, and I looked it up. It stars Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
There's like a.
Who's the other Phoebe?
I know exactly who you're
Phoebe
thinking.
Cates.
Of. There's one that's a singer, I think. I'll look it up.
Blonde
Yo,
hair.
you're right. She's dating Bo Burnham.
Blonde hair. Yeah.
We're so bad.
I always think they're the same person.
Me
Like,
too.
Oh yes, okay, I know. Yeah, I know.
I
Exactly.
always get them mixed. Oh, Chad's probably
Phoebe
like,
Bridges. It's just Phoebe Bridges, right?
Phoebe dating Bo Burnham. Phoebe Bridgers. Phoebe Bridgers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
there's
crazy.
Phoebe
Bridger,
Waller
yes.
Bridge, and then Phoebe,
Phoebe Bridgers.
Bridgers. That's
Cool.
so. One of them has
Yeah.
changed.
I would say she's a highlight of this film. But to Bless's point, she's not that special. So I don't know that this movie really has highlights as much as it just has a couple things that I'm like, oh, that's nice. And I think a lot of it is Harrison Ford, he wanted to be here.
Yeah.
You could tell he wanted to be here. I just can't believe how old he is and that we're still watching him on screen and him. It feels weird. This movie's at odds with itself a little bit. I get like the flashback stuff and de-aging actually didn't bother me. What bothered me more was how old they present him in the beginning of this movie. And he's old. We see him in an apartment, and I've never seen a person this old on camera. And then to see that same guy an hour later doing some of the action scenes, I'm like, I just don't believe this.
1000%. And when they jump from the past stuff, right, and they have the de-aged Harrison Ford, when they jump forward and you have modern day Harrison Ford, at first I was like, did they age him up for this role? Because there's no way. I'm like, there's no way he is this old. And so I think it was that jarring effect. But then also they start him off with his shirt off, and so it's like it was just this weird thing of me immediately being like, oh, I'm about to watch a full movie of of this old man being old.
It's even more striking, Bless, whenever you get those scenes of him running away, and he's running like an old, like you see it, and it like, oh man, it kind of just makes you think about your own mortality, and it just really kind of makes you sad.
I like that though. Like I feel like him being old worked for me. It just stopped working when they stopped pretending he was old.
Oh, dude, yeah. I've never seen somebody no-sell a bullet like this
up.
dude in this movie. Like, this man has had a bullet in him for about 4 hours.
In his chest.
Yeah. And he's just chilling. And he's like, yeah, man, I don't know. I guess I'll die here. And Phoebe's like, no, man, get out.
To be fair, I liked some of this, and I think because it goes toward the theme of what the movie was about, right? Which is he is part of history at this point. We have they make a good point of like showing you here's what's happening. The moon landing is happening, right? That's the future. We're in the future. And even people, you contrast his class in this versus his class in Last Crusade, where everyone's like,
nobody
this
cares,
guy's a
old man.
superstar. Yeah, and this one they don't give a shit. Why? They literally interrupt the class to wheel in the future, which is the moon landing, right?
If I was him, I'd be like, hey, fucking kids, I saw a man melt in front of my eyes. Like, I have seen shit you can't even believe,
I mean,
man.
not in front of my eyes. I've seen fucking aliens. I've seen an alien spacecraft take off from a temple, right? Like, he's seen all these things, but I like that we kind of find him, a little bit more broken and a little bit more. He's done. He's retiring. He's literally done, and he is beaten both mentally and physically, and he's had a lot of things happen with his family in the past. We know he's getting a divorce when we start the movie off. So a lot of that stuff worked for me, and I do think they played into the fact that like there's a moment in the archives, right, when Phoebe Waller-Bridge has run away, and there's a gun, and it's the traditional shot we all have known and loved and seen and criticized in other movies, where you see the gun again, and he's gonna hit the gun out of or wait for the guy to turn around, grab the gun, and punch him. And he tries to do that, and one of the Nazis just kind of grabs his arm. And it's like, settle down, old man.
Yeah.
And he's like, shit. And that happens multiple times until he gets like back in the suit. And then he has this amazing moment where all of a sudden he's a superhero and he can jump from tuck tuck to tuck tuck, like in the span of a thing. Which that became kind of
that's the moment
where you start going, all right, this is whatever. But we're back in this, but
the Indiana Jones music was playing, so it was fucking cool as shit.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I liked Indy, and I thought Harrison Ford nailed the role better this time than he did in Crystal Skull. And Crystal Skull, I think, unfortunately, they had a lot of people in his age bracket around him, and so when you're looking at a whole action sequence that's happening with people in their 70s and 80s, it doesn't have the same energy as when you have Phoebe Waller-Bridge. We have Teddy, who I loved. I love this kid, and he's all over the place, and he's great. So that youthful energy, along with with Boyd Holbrook, who I fucking love Boyd Holbrook, and I love.
Put him in more
the bad
stuff,
guy from
bro.
Logan, right?
He's always the bad guy.
Also the bad guy here, the like underling to Mads Mikkelsen, which like again, Mads no matter what is fucking awesome.
Mads is
He's the white dude that isn't 9 feet tall.
Boyd Holbrook.
That dude was insane.
Dude, I mean, legit
7'2".
Yo, shout out to the group of bad guys in this. Like, just visually, like, what a great gang that's just catching, like, following them around. Where you're like, you look at them and you're like, yeah, not only are you bad guys, you're also debatably, if not explicitly, explicitly Nazis.
Yeah.
And then also, it's like, this guy's a bully. Like, this guy's a fucking bully, man.
So he is a bodybuilder who is 7'2".
Why did you say the Dutch giant?
That's his name.
That's his name, bro. He's the Dutch giant. He's great in this. Mads is great in this. There's a lot of great stuff in this movie, and there's a lot. I think they did a really good job of bringing this together as much as they could. I'll disagree with you just a little bit on the visual style. New York City looked weird and fake, and I think it's really hard to nail the period pieces when you're dealing with New York, right? I just came back from New York a month ago. I'm like, I know it doesn't look like that anymore. So they did a serviceable job there. But what I loved about this is when they go to like Sicily, and they're actually in Sicily, right? Or they're actually in these or in Greece. They're actually in these places. That to me makes me it does draw back all the history of those franchises when they had to go like shoot. I think it was Tunisia for Egypt at the time and all that stuff, because actually to go to these places and find these incredible locales and shoot action sequences there and just have fun. And so kudos to them for doing that, because they could have very easily CG'd a lot of that stuff. But James Mangold was probably like, I got Harrison Ford. I got this great cast. Let's go to Greece.
It's not even so much I agree with you. The physical locations, they were great, but I feel like everything had a filter on it. Everything was made to look this weird way. Like the opening chase scene specifically.
That looked bloomy and weird.
Where it's nighttime and it's like they're
oh, you mean the Nazi sequence?
The Nazi sequence. It's like they're clearly in some ways actually driving a motorcycle through grass and shit. But it's like there's something about it that it looks like there's just layers. Like it looks like it was painting layers on top of each other. And I don't know what it was, but it really just took me out of it.
Well, we'll talk about that sequence when we kick off the plot. But there's a lot in that one to unpack for sure, specifically the CG, the facial reconstruction stuff, which I feel like, man, it took me a solid 20 minutes past that sequence to recover from that, because I hated it so much.
I was very on and off scene to scene. and it was very hard for me to concentrate on the plot because it was just me thinking, oh, this one looks way better than the first time it looked.
Yeah, oh, that looks okay.
This one not
That's
so great.
good.
Ooh,
Oh, that
this
one didn't
angle
work.
with this lighting, incredible. Like, I feel like the CG, this is one of the best facial reconstruction de-aging things when it worked, because I feel like it worked maybe 30% of the time, and when it did, it looked really damn good. Granted, it had to be incredibly well controlled because they had to have the right angle of lighting with the bounce light hitting them just perfectly. But the initial shot and the way that it opens up with the de-aging, that's where it's the most, holy shit, this is weird as hell, because they're dealing with the flashlight on his face, and that's a lot of light that has to move and travel around, and that's really easy to look unnatural, and that's, I think, when it looked at its worst. And then it'd get better, and then this other shot looked terrible, and then suddenly he'd turn and look at his friend and be like, hey, we're gonna fucking do that thing, and it looked really weird because it didn't match up at all. Like, it was very hit and miss for me.
Yeah, for me it was. I knew it was coming. I see it. I'm like, all right, that's fine. It's when he started talking that it really, really took me out of it, and it's because look. I love Harrison Ford. I love him in Shrinking. I think the man can do anything. I think he's still got a lot left in him as far as being an actor. But he is older now, and not only does he look older, but he sounds older. So when a 33-year-old Harrison Ford opens his mouth and he has that slower manner of speaking that 80-year-olds have, it took me right out of it. I literally saw right through the facial deconstruction and was like, this looks like it looks very, very fake. And I know that you can't do this because it is Harrison Ford, and it's one of the two roles that made him fucking iconic. And we've already seen someone recast him in one of the other roles that made him iconic, and it was a mixed bag with Solo. But man, I just wish they could just cast younger actors, because just do it. Just cast a younger actor next time you got. Please, folks, we'll forgive you. It's okay.
Really
They don't have to be Harrison Ford, but just find someone that's got. You don't even have to look like him. Just find someone that's got the swagger. And let me call your attention to Exhibit A. Last Crusade starts with. What does it start with? Do you guys remember that? How it starts? Flashback.
Young
Who
Indy.
and who's Indy?
Not him.
Not Joaquin Phoenix. River Phoenix is Indy, right?
Oh
he
my
looks
gosh.
nothing like Harrison. He's blonde, for Christ's sake. And they were just like, it's River Phoenix. He's awesome. He's kind of dorky and good looking, and he's perfect for Indiana Jones, young Indiana Jones. We could have just done that in this one. It would have been okay. But I think everyone gets this, like, they get super excited about, we're gonna nail the facial stuff this time, and I just don't get it. It's just so. It takes you out of the movie, and it's got to cost more money than just grabbing a random up and comer from Hollywood and sticking him in this thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
We're going to take a really quick ad break, but when we come back, we're getting into the plot, baby. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Shady Rays Independence Day sale is live right now. You can go to shadyrays.com and get up to 50% off single pairs of sunglasses. You can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, that's shadyrays.com. shadyrays.com.
Here's the plot. It's time for the plot. Now, time for the plot. Now, time for the plot.
Andy, wrong Harrison Ford movie. Wrong Harrison Ford movie.
John Williams, man. It's just everything he does
Ah,
great.
it's so
Everything
good.
he does is great.
I will
dude.
say, watching this movie, I was thinking about Star Wars the whole time.
Yeah.
It was hard not to. You're just seeing Harrison Ford, old Harrison Ford specifically. I'm like, huh.
Here's the thing: we just watch it. You couldn't. There's no amount of money you could pay me right now that would get me to correctly sing the Indiana Jones song.
You don't know? You want me to sing it for you?
Sing me the first note.
Bum, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-ba-dum. Yep.
You're such a fuck.
Hey man, look. John Williams loves his trumpets. What can I say?
He does.
That's
What
why I
can
play
he say?
trumpet.
What can you say?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's kick it off.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny starts how all Indiana Jones movies should start with him fighting Nazis. That's right. He gets
yeah.
dragged out. Again, we start off and I'm like, oh no, this is exactly how Crystal Skull started off. Do you guys remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
He gets dragged out of the
Fridge?
boot. No. I mean, it was the fridge, yes, but he's in the trunk of the car and he's got the bag over his head. I'm like, oh, fuck, man. Did they not watch that last movie? But this one, they drag all the way up to the bell tower. I love this. This has a sense of kinetic energy, like a lot of the other Indiana Jones movies, where a lot of stuff going on. You got that Spielbergian camera work going on here, where people are the blocking of all the side characters and are going, and everything's going crazy. It's nuts, and you're focused on this. They drive for this. Oh no, it's this, and then they drag him up to the bell tower, and they take off the hood. And who is it? It's the Pixar's version of Indiana Jones, right? Not good. Hate it. Could have been this could have been a cool scene with him falling down the rungs with the noose. But every single time, I'm right with Andy. I was like, oh, that's pretty good there. Oh, that was not so good. Oh, his face has wiggled a little bit there.
Yeah.
Just takes me out of it. I'm sure 40 years from now, when I don't have to do this job anymore, when they deep fake me and it's funnier and it doesn't make Tim roll his eyes, the technology will be there. But for right now, it is not there.
They're gonna have so much trouble capturing the amount of times that you look at me and move your lips. Like CG will never be able to recreate that.
The real question is, will the CG be able to wink to you and without anyone
Off
seeing
camera.
it? Yeah. Will it still do that? Will it still go through the tremendous processing power of
the
nailing
AI
that
know?
moment? Right.
God.
We should note Toby Jones is here as Basil Shaw. He is.
Which, you know what? Shout out to this guy, right?
love
Arnold
Toby
Zola
Jones.
from
Yeah.
Winter Soldier and
He's great.
Captain America and stuff. But like, he belongs in Indiana Jones.
Yep.
And I will say that to this movie's credit, I believed in their backstory. It's kind of that weird thing that Indiana Jones always does is like, well, actually, he also had this other friend and they had a bunch of stories together whenever. And the kind of pitch of this movie of Phoebe being this guy's daughter and like that's the lineage of it all could be shoehorned in. I don't think it was. I truly believe that this guy and Indiana Jones, of course they went on an adventure.
Yeah.
All hell breaks loose. Of course, the Nazis are thinking they're winning, but we all know that this is the end of the war. This is when presumably the Americans and the British are creeping their way toward Berlin. We know that Hitler is looking for something that they have found now, which is not the Dial of Destiny. It is the spear that stabbed Christ when he was on the cross, which I believe they have made reference to before in when they were talking about some of the other relics in Last Crusade. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But they talk about they've talked about that before. I think specifically when they talked about the Grail, which is what caught Christ's blood after they stabbed him with the spear or whatever like that.
That's
No.
also called the Spear of Destiny, right?
The Grail?
No, the spear.
No, it was called something else.
No, but Kevin's not wrong. That's why I couldn't remember the name of it because it is called the Spear of Destiny, which is wild.
It looks like on Wikipedia it's also called the Holy Lance.
That's what they called it.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, probably because calling it the Spear of Destiny and the Dial of Destiny
Would be really
sounds like this. We got
Is this like
a
one of them
brand name.
Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone type of moments?
no. That's just because the British have weird words
Oh, okay.
and they don't understand what a toilet is. They call it the loo.
The loo.
I knew the Lou was coming. God damn it.
I'm like, do you guys want to get in the elevator? And they just stare at you. What is an elevator? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. The lift.
The lift.
Can we get in the lift? You guys want to take the subway? What is that? One of your American sandwiches? Sorry, we'll take the tube. It was one joke too far.
It was the best one, though.
Yeah, it was good. It was real good. But it was too far, Blessing. You gotta
was a really good
like
one.
this. You gotta just go. Next stop. Just stop. He escapes. They get Toby Jones, unfortunately, and Basil Shaw is like, I don't know what's going on. I'm a bird watcher. And I was like, what? Here's how stupid I am. I spend a tremendous amount of time thinking how awesome the bird watcher is as a code name for someone.
Oh, that is cool.
That's cool, right?
I like that.
Like if we were secret agents and you were the bird watcher because you were the guy that follows everyone, I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Sick.
Put him in Dead Reckoning too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Or yeah, anything.
Fuck it, Toby Jones as the bird.
Yeah.
Of course, we get introduced to all the Nazis here, but not the least of which is Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Voller. He's got a couple names in this, but I think we'll call him Dr. Voller from now on, or just Mads, as I like to call him, because that's his first name and it's cool. And he is like, look, man, this lance, it's a
Mads
fake.
Mikkelsen's like, look, man.
Look, dude.
Yo, homie. He's like, yo, homie.
Yo, my
this,
guy.
this lance is a fake. At the same time that Harrison Ford figures out it's fake, he sneaks back onto the train, figures out it's fake.
Fun editing here. I did
really
like to your point about the Spielbergness of it all. Like, I thought that this, so far, I was like, okay, cool, I'm into this.
Me too. He goes, it's fake. And then he's like, well, do you want to go back and tell Hitler that's fake? And he's like, well, someone should tell Hitler that's fake. He's like, what we really have is this other thing. And I like the misdirect here. I like that we're thinking like, oh, it's about this lance. It's going to be this like all-powerful weapon, right? But it's not about that. It's about this other thing that everyone thought wasn't very important, which is called the Dial of Destiny or the Dial of Archimedes, which is this half of a bigger dial that nobody knows what it does. But Archimedes was not a magician. He was a scientist. He was a mathematician. And they theorized that this thing has great power, but we're not quite sure what it does yet, I don't think. But Mads is like, look, this is the thing I want. Like, we should figure this out. This could have helped us out a long time ago.
I'm going to say this. I think the whole setup and plot for this whole Archimedes being like, it's not magic, it's math. Like, this shit exists out there. I think it's the coolest setup and plot device of any of the Indiana Jones movies.
Super cool.
Like, I just love the idea that Mads Mikkelsen is like, look, you don't have to believe in like weird sort of like sorcery or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is just this is math, and this dude conquered, and math is never wrong. I love this whole setup and for like what this device is capable of.
And it's a classic Indiana Jones sort of misdirect, right? If you guys remember, with the exception of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I should say with the exception of, but I should say the Ark of the Covenant, all the religious artifacts, the Ark of the Covenant and the chalice, or the Cup of Christ, they all come with a caveat, right? It's not exactly what you think. And that's what I like about this too, is like, this thing is not magic, it is math. But does it work the way we want it to work? Yeah. Right? There's always a little catch with these things. It's always a catch when you want the ultimate power. You get the ultimate power, but you can't leave. You can't cross over the thing with it. You got to stay in the
thing yet.
And, you know, exactly. Anyway, this kicks off an awesome action sequence. Well, awesome is an interesting word. A train sequence, which,
an energetic
if I'm being
sequence.
candid,
Cool elements.
I liked it.
I think I liked this. I think I would have candidly liked it a lot more if I hadn't seen another train sequence that had happened the day prior. But I liked this. It has an energy to it. You've got bombs dropping off overhead. You've got the British or the American, I think it was the Brits, were invading and they were shooting. This train has
the machine gun shit was sick
fucking
as fuck.
badass.
Yeah.
The
machine gun on
turret
it.
shooting and the people on the side of the train and the shots of all of them just getting blown off. It was awesome.
Creative.
It felt really, really clever, and I feel like it was well shown, and like it was exciting.
They get the dial, of course.
Hold on one sec, though. I got to call out, like, one of the most annoying things that I'm not sure Hollywood will ever figure out. Why can't they ever animate humans moving like humans do? When we see the far
Them running.
shot and Indiana Jones is running on the train, and he's running like a fucking Woody from Toy Story, and he jumps, and in the most, like, it's like they hand animate these like as if they are animating a cartoon. And I feel like Hollywood has struggled with this since the beginning of time. It's just like, how do we animate? Oh, that's supposed to be Tom Holland as Spider-Man when he lands, but suddenly he's like walking oddly. It's like, why can't we figure this shit out, dude? And like, I see him running down there, jumping, and gravity doesn't work like it should because he just jumps really fast. It's so annoying. We'll never figure it out.
We're never going to figure it out. But Mads figures it out, and Mads heads up, and he's like, I want the dial. And Harrison does a switcheroo on him, and then Mads gets murdered.
Dude,
by a
hold on.
tree branch.
We
or
got to
whatever that
talk
thing was.
about this. The shot of the reveal of Mads on the top of the train coming through the smoke, bad fucking ass. Loved that. I was like, oh, here we go. Did not expect Mads to die here. Did not expect it for him to get hereditaried. This was insane. This fucking thing just like knocking him off was the most violent shit I've seen in quite a while.
Yeah.
So like, did he survive that?
Yeah. He survived it.
That's insane.
So like,
It's aggressive.
when that happens, and I know Mads is still the main villain, I'm awaiting
The reveal.
of
Time
like this
travel.
crazy fucked up face.
Yeah.
But he's got like a helmet or like.
That's what like. There's the scene where you first see him, and I could have sworn he was gonna turn. It was gonna be a fucking dent.
Yeah.
Because for a second it looked like there might have been something
Yeah.
there, and it turns and he's
or
he's
like.
fine.
Or like Rami Malek's sort of face mask thing that he had in
Spectre.
What, in
Spectre.
Spectre,
Not
yeah.
Spectre.
Yeah.
No, no
One
way
of
to
the James
die.
Bond.
No time
No
to
way.
die.
No time to die.
I was
like-
expecting some sort of facial sort of device to kind of like, oh, this is the villain. That's how he looks or whatever. Totally fine.
The hit is so aggressive that when they do reveal him and he looks fine. I thought that the next reveal was going to be that he had a twin brother. Because they got to that point where Indiana's like, oh, I know you. And he's like, I'm this person. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're going to reveal that you're really a different person or you're a clone or something.
I thought it was going to be time travel. I thought it was going to be the dial thing, like did some shit so that like that death didn't actually happen. Because that motherfucker should have died, not just been injured.
no, his head would have been knocked off.
Yeah.
Clean.
Of course, it's not. A fighter or a bomber, rather, bombs the bridge in front of them. They go, we got to jump. So they jump. And then when they get to the shore, He's like, Indy, it sucks that you had to give him the dial. And he's like, did I give him the dial? And it turns out he had put an old switcheroo on it, even though it was like, this thing's the size of half of a fucking bowling ball.
Yeah.
He's like, sleight of hand.
And this
You
is,
know what
I
mean?
think, the worst face CG stuff when they're walking
During the day?
up the gray
Yeah, not
or
good.
up the grassy kind of hill, and they're kind of talking there. That's where it's like, it's really hard to capture Harrison Ford at that profile angle with whatever CG you're using. And it was also, it's jarring whenever we see real actors, real life human being actors, not matching with the audio dialogue because maybe they did something different in the studio when they were doing ADR. And then it's even more noticeable when it's a a de-aged,
It feels like it's not him.
CG
It
version.
really
Yeah.
feels like a detached voice.
Yeah, very odd.
From there, we cut back over to the future, ladies and gentlemen. Harrison Ford's
I
living
think
in
this is
the-
where we get.
Oh, we do get Indiana Jones and the worst font choice
worst
possible
What
What a choice! What was that? An old reference or something?
that I know of.
What is this font choice, man? It was atrocious, dude.
Let me look at the logo for no. I mean, it would be there, right? That's what I'm used to it being, which is just a clean sans serif font, right?
But
Is that right,
there's
there, right
I
above my
never
left
noticed-
shoulder? See that blessing? That's what you have to look forward to in this company. That's the level of disrespect they give to you.
Wait, hold on,
funny.
Plus, what did you not notice?
No, that Nick, Nick and Andy.
That this was the photo back there.
Yeah.
Oh, back there. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought when we brought it up earlier, you didn't
No, no,
notice.
No,
Yeah,
we noticed that they made
Yeah,
me short.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's on rotation. That's
No,
oh,
you know
no,
what?
it's not on rotation.
You know what it reminded me of, Nick? Like sometimes when Adobe bugs out and it just changes your
Forget your
fonts.
font.
I feel like they submitted this not realizing Adobe had updated and like bugged out, and it was just random fonts.
But
on
you
the
could
screen.
tell though that somebody really stood by the decision because
Fuck
they're like,
yeah.
no, it's cool. It's cool. We're gonna use it for everything.
Yeah.
And they do.
They really do. We get that. We get the title, and then we cut over to New York, and this is in the '60s now. I'm not sure what year it was. I don't think they said a year.
Well, so here's
when's
the
the moon
thing.
land? When's the moon launch?
It
That's right.
was
1969.
1969.
There you go.
Now 1970, a year earlier. We know this from
Even Stevens.
Even Stevens the music.
Oh my
Never
God.
fucking forget. All right.
Man,
It is 1969, and it's interesting to see Indy in 1969 because he sleeps on his Barcalounger in the world's biggest boxers, shirtless.
God.
Kevin, can you hit the sounder for me? Were they born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs. He's doing it. God damn it. You can't hear him. He's actually introing the segment, everybody. I hate this bit. I fucking hate
Impossibly
this.
quiet.
I hate this bit. The gate is not picking up in that fucking microphone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rank Those Abs. I'm your co-host, Nick Scarpino, alongside Andy Cortez. Listen, we've talked a lot about Harrison Ford's elevated age, but if I could have Harrison Ford's abs right now, his current abs on me right now, I would. I thought he looked good, shirtless.
Oh, dude.
I thought I was
real.
like, damn.
Good for him.
Good for you,
him.
bro.
Good arms,
I-
good shoulders.
I said this earlier. This kind of feels like elder abuse to me. Like I just feel like don't put this man in this.
Oh, he wanted it,
situation,
bro.
Dude.
He's been doing
I
Pilates
don't
and
know,
shit. He
man.
wanted it.
I don't know. Something about this felt really off to me.
There's no way James Mangold was like, Harrison, we talked about this nude scene. And Harrison's like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it. No, he was like, I look jacked. I look good for my age. I'm going to get there and fucking show people that my shirt's off. Does he walk like all of his vertebrae are fused?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yes,
It's,
he does.
it's not just the look of it. It's the overall sadness.
Because he's like,
of it.
he walks like I walk after I've sat for 2 minutes too long, which is like, everything's compressed. But again, I think that's what we're supposed to feel. I think we're
Yeah.
supposed to feel him like he's old. He's feeling his age.
Oh, yeah.
He's retired. Of course, he makes a cup of coffee. This band break, wakes him up, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up! It's too early. Shut up!" And the guy's like, "Dude, it's Moon Day. It's Moon landing day."
Bunch of hippies.
And I was like, "That's good. It's a great way of letting us know where we're at in time." It's the hippie goes, "Hey, man, we're landing on the fucking moon today. Shut up." And of course, he looks and we get a little one moment where he kind of moves the coffee aside, and it's divorce proceedings from Marion. And you're like, "Damn, that hits hard." Love Marion Ravenwood. I mean, that's not what he looks like now. I mean, still, I would take that right now.
Yeah.
Looks great
honestly,
in this photo.
I would still take that right now. He looks great.
He was like really shredded in this movie.
One day, when I'm super famous, they're gonna catch me outside like that, right? They're gonna catch me with my shirt off, and someone's gonna throw up. They're just gonna go, "Ugh."
It's a step too far.
We know what the throw up would look like, Nick.
Mom, get the school nurse. All right. He got to go to class now, and this is a far, like I said, a far cry from the classes we've seen before, where he used to teach at I forget what university he was at, Columbia, or do we know? I can't remember. He was for archaeology. Now he's at New York Upstate State School University. There's 3 people in this class, and nobody really gives a shit because there's a parade outside for the moon, for the astronauts that are about to go to the moon. Meanwhile, there's also protests for Vietnam War, which is in full effect at this point. And so all this stuff's happening. The future is totally crazy to him, and he's trying to teach a story about Archimedes, who is this old school mathematician that had this dial that was really, really cool. And the only person in his class that gets it is Wombat. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she's answering all of his questions. She's like, he did this, he did that, yada, yada, yada.
An anagram for Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Wombat?
Yeah.
Of course, there's another person in his class that looks suspicious. She reports back to her command. She's a CIA agent. She reports back to command, and we see the big baddie here, Mads Mikkelsen. Only his name's not Voller anymore. It's Dr. Schmidt or something like that. He has been he's been given a new identity by the United States government to work on the rockets for the moon, which he has helped them get. And this is very, very unfortunately, very, very accurate to history. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we did in fact take a lot of the Nazi scientists, and they did in fact help us work on a lot of this shit, because the Nazis were really, really far ahead of us in rocket propulsion, and had a lot of people theorize, what is it, Kevin? If they had gotten like another 6 months or a year, they would have had jets, and we would have still been with propeller planes, and we would have gotten destroyed. So interesting. And it's very interesting that he's very conflicted about this. Obviously, he's still a Nazi. We get a great...
He could be a little bit more, subtle about it. Like,
Oh, he didn't get caught.
He's like, you didn't win the war, by the way.
Hitler lost. But I love that, right? I mean, you talk about, look, we had some criticisms of some other movies that talk about too much exposition, too much telling us what's scary, too much not telling us what's scary. Mads Mikkelsen, the second he asked that question to the guy that comes to deliver his food, he's like, you fought in the war? You're like, oh, shit. What the fuck's he going to say right now? And you're like, is he going to be subtle about this? And he is not subtle at all. He's like, and he's German. And he's old enough so that you would see, if you were that person in the room, the guy delivering the food to him, you would know. You'd be like, this dude's got a thick German accent, and he's in his 50s, which means 20 years ago, he was probably a Nazi, or at least in Germany or somewhat affiliated with this. I thought it was a very compelling moment there where he's like, yeah, I did fight, and I stormed. I forget what he said, but he was like, yeah, I was part of the first infantry stormed the beaches at Omaha or something like that. And he's like, we won the war. He's like, you didn't win the war. Hitler lost the war. And it's interesting. Because at first you go, oh, he's just being a Nazi asshole. But he's not. That's his plan. Hitler was the problem. That's what he sees. It wasn't the war. It wasn't the way. It was the way Hitler ran the war that he does not like. He lost it.
So, where would we put him on Nazi-ness level with like the Red Skull from Captain America? Because Red Skull was like, oh, they're thinking too small. I want to kill like everybody. You know what I mean?
I would put him.
Like they both eventually were like, we're part of Hitler's Nazi regime, but actually, fuck Hitler. We're gonna we're gonna take him over because we want more, even more.
I mean, to me, it's scarier because if you are a person that's like, yeah, I'm gonna dethrone Hitler, you're scary. You're a scary motherfucker.
Scary.
Because at that point, it's not you're following somebody. No, it's like, no, I believe in this.
I'm better than this dude.
Yeah,
and I'm worse than him.
It's like, no, I don't follow Hitler. I believe in the cause. I'm about to see this shit all the way through.
Oh, he even has
that's
that,
crazy.
He even has that moment where he's like, I forget what it was, but he was like, with the cause. Hitler fucked this up. We could have been in power for 1,000 years. We could have had an empire that was like 1,000 years long, similar to the Roman Empire. He's like, but it hadn't been for Hitler. So this guy's like a true believer.
Yeah, I think
in this.
Hating a people group so much that you're willing to figure out time travel
is wild.
Yeah, it's like another level of no, you are dedicated to this shit.
And not just time travel, but time travel to the point where you're like, no, we're gonna go back and win the war. See, time travel for all of us. Not being Nazis, I'd be like, I just go back and invest in Apple.
Strangle Hitler.
I don't know if I go that far back, but like, you know what I mean? It's like I would think about using it just for like personal gain, probably. But this guy's dogmatic.
I'm not doing baby Hitler.
You're not killing baby Hitler?
No,
I'm teen Hitler.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's just throw hands at teen Hitler.
Come back. And here's what you do. You travel back. And you go, Hitler, and you look at him, you're like, 5'7". Nope, go back a little farther. Hitler, 5'5".
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Right?
Can somebody explain to me the math too on Mads Mikkelsen's age? Because like, how many years before this was the end of World War II?
World War II ended in 40.
Was it like it's like a 35
I want to
year
say.
gap?
Because like the thing that
42 to
confused
40.
me, and I could be in the wrong here, is that like
Mads Mikkelsen should have been way older.
that's what I thought. Yeah,
Well,
Harrison
yeah,
Ford
because
is
him and Harrison Ford.
yeah, because Harrison
That's
Ford
weird.
is so old, and
Well-
Mads Mikkelsen looks the same.
I don't. Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Is Harrison Ford is the same age as he was
Good skincare.
during the last
Like
Crusade.
skincare.
Because remember, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was 1950s. They fought the Russians. It was the Cold War era. In Last Crusade, I think it was the very beginning of World War II. 'Cause
Yeah.
Hitler had just come to power. He was signing books. They started burning books. So that was what was scary about that one, because it was in the backdrop of this like massive Nazi army that was mobilizing, and specifically in Africa, but in like Northern Africa. But in this, it was like, remember they go to Berlin. It's like everything's Hitler. This is the end of that. But that would only have been like maximum 5 years later. So he would, if he was 30 then, he would have been 35. I think they tried to de-age Mads, so he was like 20, but it didn't really work because he was
Yeah.
he was supposed to look younger.
It's like him and
But-
Harrison Ford look like peers
Yeah,
when they're on that train.
yeah. So
So really, like
I don't-
it should have
'cause we
been battle of these two old men.
Was
we
his hair
see-
a lot more dyed when he was younger? I don't recall.
Harrison Ford's
all I
hair-
think now of, all I can picture when I think of like how does Mads look in this movie is the
Gray.
platinum gray hair. You know,
well, we see 3 Harrison Fords, right? We see him in the 40s. Presumably, we see him back in the 50s because he's got a little more gray in his hair when he's arguing with
Toby.
Shaw.
Yeah.
And Wombat sees him, and then we see him now. But yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop too. That's why I was like, oh, maybe he time traveled.
Yeah.
Because he only looks like maybe 10, 15 years older.
Yeah.
But he should be minimum 65. Well, I guess if you're 65, that's probably a look. You don't really start going off a hill old wise until
He's got
you're
good
40.
genes. I'll just say he's got good genes.
Yeah, he's got great genes.
He didn't really go out in the sun a whole lot.
Yeah, clean and clear.
Harrison
I mean,
Ford
it
was
was-
always in the sun.
Yeah, he was always in that lab
Bad skin.
trying to figure out all those
Yeah.
eugenics. Anyway, from there, he's like, the president wants to see you. He's like, fuck the president. I'm going after. And he gets a call. And Boyd Holbrook's there too. And Boyd Holbrook just, God bless him. He's such a good bad guy. He was the bad guy in
so
Sandman. He was great in that.
Why isn't he in more stuff?
He is. He was in Narcos season 1.
Oh,
too.
you're
He was
right.
great in that.
Oh, but he was the good guy in.
And he was good.
Oh shit, that's
And-
right.
yeah.
Wow, I'm completely blanking on that.
Good show.
What a good show.
Yeah. They go, hey, we found out where Wombat is. We found Holly Shaw. No, not Holly Shaw. What's her first name? Oh, Helena Shaw. She's at this university. We're gonna track her down. She meanwhile tracks down Harrison Ford, who's been given a clock, who he gives to a person on the street because he's like, what the hell am I gonna do with this ugly ass clock? She finds him in a bar, and she's like, you don't recognize me. I'm Basil's daughter. I'm Wombat. And I just want to help you find this dial of destiny to complete Dad's work. And she's just giving him a complete and total con job here. But he believes her, and they go back to the archives. And this is where it starts getting boring to me. Because the archives, she's like, did you really destroy it? He's like, no, I didn't destroy it. I just hid it in the archives. And then we get the action sequence where the Nazis just start randomly, haphazardly killing everyone, which is, to me, I'm like, oh, all right. We've sort of like played our trump card there. With
was
them
kind
just
of-
mass murdering.
This was the too many characters thing.
Too many
Too many people on screen right now. We're not exactly sure who's where. A lot of double crossing going on. So it's kind of just like, this isn't interesting.
Not only that, but we have the CIA component where you're like,
Yeah.
who is this person
It's
and
too
why
much.
is she in this? And is she working for the government? I guess she's her Vogler's handler, but like, that's weird.
And
What I-
this is where we get the first glimpse at very old Harrison Ford not moving well.
Yes.
And it's jarring when it cuts to the body double because there's a noticeable change in energy.
Oh, that dude is like a
and-
Taekwondo master. He's like all over the
Yeah, but it's like that's why it is so kind of jarring to see the two differences.
I think this is one of the first times we hear the iconic Indiana Jones theme song, Andy, which is
Can you give me one more note so I can think?
Ba-da-da-da.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Go to dun 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 dun
Phantom Menace.
dun 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 dun. Misa Jar Jar.
Continue on, Nick.
We do get a moment here where we're talking about, and I remembered to make a mental note of this. It's where Boyd Holbrook runs at him, and Harrison Ford takes I guess, semi-heavy ladder and just like, and kind of pushes it at Boyd Holbrook. And the reaction that, I mean, Boyd Holbrook, we were talking about WWE perfection here.
Sells
helping
it.
him. Just sells it.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's all over. But he's you know what I mean? It was so bad.
Good self left.
I don't love this scene. To me, it's too much of an escalation of action. It's not fun. It's not intriguing. It should have been a cat and mouse game between Indiana Jones, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Boyd Holbrook. Should have been one person chasing him because to me this is insurmountable. They got a guy that's 7'2". They have 13 people in this office. They're willing to kill anyone. To me, it's just not that fun. We go
But
up to
there's
the
also
roof.
not a whole lot of things to play with in this office.
No, it's tight
for
and small.
Possible action sequences. Like, I think the most actiony this gets is just knocking down a bunch of bookcases or whatever these filing cabinets are that just kind of topple down.
Which we've seen in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
With like even the big warehouse of
Yeah.
shit, and that shit mattered.
Yeah. That was like the Ark of the Covenant. It's unfortunate because if they had been in the old university where they could have gone around this whole campus, it could have been a fun sequence, but it was not. Oh God, what's he doing? What's happening here?
What's going on? Oh man,
Oh, he's gonna swap it out.
Gregiana Jones is here.
Oh, it's a LaCroix for the
he's
hat.
swapping out a LaCroix for Tim. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Oh wow, he did it.
Well done.
Audio
Whoa.
That ended up
Well
being
done.
helpful. This
Wow.
is awesome for everybody.
That's cool. That's great.
Very impressive.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge gets away. Harrison Ford gets abducted into this Con Ed truck, but not very. He gets out.
They handle him like such an old man.
Oh yeah, they're putting his.
It's so sad.
He eventually breaks free, grabs a police horse, rides through. And this whole sequence should be fun, but it's just kind of not. It's kind of falls flat for me.
And it sucks because like it's cool as shit. Like this should be cool, and like a lot of it should be cool. And I don't know that any of it was. Like, do you guys, Bless? Like, did you enjoy this?
Like, are we talking about the part with the parade? Is
The
that-
horse parade part?
I thought it was fine. Yeah, like it wasn't necessarily memorable for me.
This is where I started feeling like,
Yeah.
I'm not digging what's happening right now. This is like kind of the first inklings of those feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, it just did not work for me. Unfortunately, I think somewhere here we get I don't know if we get the flashback here of how he, told her like, hey, if you need me, call me or whatever, and he just wasn't there for her. We get the whole argument with her or with his dad when she was younger, and he's like, oh, you did remember that? I guess that was in the bar. It was like, you do remember that argument we had, where I promised to destroy the thing. From here, she's got
A lot
the
of
dial now, right?
A lot of Bilbo Baggins vibes right there with Toby, with old Toby,
Yeah,
being like,
Keeping it.
"Hey, give me. I don't want. I gotta take the ring, man. Give me that goddamn thing.
Yeah.
I'm Harrison Ford. I'm Gandalf. Give me
Yeah.
the ring.
And he even talks about destroying it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't destroy it. You should destroy it. You gotta destroy it.
One thing that confused me, the black girl that was with the villain squad, was she like the CIA handler?
Mason, she was her name's Mason. She was CIA.
Okay.
She was not technically a bad guy.
But she like just watched the bad guys kill people.
It's, CIA.
She got kind of mad.
Yeah.
Just
she
a
was
little.
like,
A little bit
"Stop doing that." Right.
I was so fucking confused.
It was very confusing, and it was an element that was unfortunate, and I don't know why. She didn't really serve too much of a purpose.
No.
In this,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Total
Probably
waste
should've
of
been
a
cut
character. I was
Cut it
like,
out.
That sucked.
Like she seemed like a character that they started writing the script and they were like, oh yeah, eventually she's gonna turn and be on
be on
Indy's
Indy's
side.
side.
100%,
And they
yeah.
just never
And
made
they
it that far with the
Yeah.
character.
Never made it over there, which is unfortunate. From here, where do we go from here? Is that? Jeez. Well, we'll just skip ahead. We'll go over to Morocco, right? I think we go to Casablanca. He figures out that he goes to Salah. He gets picked up by Salah.
Oh,
Not gonna
that's
forget,
right.
which is
Yeah.
awesome. And Salah's like, I looked her up, and she's got some ties to this dude, this guy and his son who run these hotels over in Morocco, and like that's probably where she's going. And he divines that she actually is stealing the Dial of Destiny to sell because she has sold stuff before and antiquities before. So we get a great scene with him. Beautiful scene where he drops him off at the airport and he's like, I brought my passport too. And he's like, look, this ain't that kind of thing. Well, I'm not going out. It's not a grand adventure. I'm just going there to get this thing back. And then we're going home. And he's like, you need to save that. You got kids and all that stuff. And it's a beautiful moment. And the music swells. And then Indy almost gets hit by a car.
He goes, you go get him, Indiana Jones. And it's just like, you know what? Hell yeah.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
This is the type of retro sequel to old movies that, like, you got to have the parts. You got to have the fan servicey thing. And I feel like they did this right. Like, having the moment, we wanted to see him, having them have some fun moments together. But then he doesn't stay with them, like, moves on. And this whole thing was like, I don't know, 45 seconds or something. Like, I just think it was like well done. Not every moment like this is well done in the movie, but I thought this one was.
Yeah, and I just wanted to go back to that initial sort of like horse sequence, and none of us really felt was awesome. And there's a lot of things about the original trilogy that are just, they're so quaint and so charming because you kind of understand the time that they were made and you appreciate what they were going for, and you know that this movie is going to have far and away more, I guess, complicated action, right?
Yeah.
But that does not mean better action. And in this movie, sure, they can play a lot more with explosions and cars doing crazy stuff at weird camera angles because it's all CG nowadays. But like, there's still something so nice and charming about those old movies, because that was also my first time really, really watching all three of them. And it kind of reminds me of the Rocky movies, watching the Rocky movies for the first time and being like, man, like this has so much character and heart in it. And that's what I feel like was missing for a decent amount of this movie.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the setup and payoff that can work if you are working with the simplicity of something that is older or something that can be as complex as movies are now, right? Where you have all the pieces with the horse and then the car and the other thing, right? And like I feel like they had all the setup, but just none of the payoff. Where it's hard for me to even think about where that scene ended because there was no point where it's like boom, that happened.
I didn't even remember this until you guys just said this. The scene ends with Indiana goddamn Jones riding a horse into the subway, dodging multiple trains before having a pretty funny comedic beat of leaving the horse with someone in the subway.
Take my horse.
But we all forgot about that. Like that's just the level of with just a lot happening that something cool like that meant nothing.
Yeah, and I well honestly, now that you mentioned that, the best part of it is Harrison Ford saying, "Here, hold my horse."
Yeah,
because I want Indiana Jones to have that sort of silly demeanor on camera, and regardless of what the action is, it could be anything, but you need to have that special sauce from Indiana's line deliveries and the way he's reacting to what's happening, and that was kind of missing for me in this movie.
I think it was there a little bit. We got glimpses of it, right? Because Harrison Ford can still nail some of those comedic beats.
Yeah,
but you just don't get the reason Harrison Ford was, and I'm sorry because I think people in the UK are probably a little confused. What we're talking about right now. Tim meant he's riding through the tube.
Oh,
not the subway. Okay, I don't want them thinking that Indiana Jones went into a hoagie sandwich.
Yeah,
okay. That's a good call.
And what he was riding was a trotting beast.
Bloodborne.
Perfect. But Harrison Ford, one of the reasons why I think he's so special as an actor, especially an action star, was that he was one of the few back in the day to really have a sense of bumbling vulnerability. And there's lots of times in the movies where they play that for such great moments. He falls off the tank and gets stuck on the thing and just is like, what the fuck? Like, doesn't know how to get off this thing, even though if you actually slow-mo, it's physically impossible that his bag went onto the tank thing. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
All this stuff, him falling, him doing all these things, more often than not is like 51% capable, 49% luck that he survives any of these things. But that takes a specific like comedic ability and physicality that unfortunately he doesn't have a lot now anymore. But it has moments where we get a little Harrison Ford, grumbly like, yeah. And this is one of those. Like, hold my horse. Off we go onto the plains. This is where we get the flashback sequence. Sorry, this is where he sees his younger self in the reflection of the first class seat that doesn't have a person next to it. That was a different time back then. Am I right?
You're right.
People just ripping heaters in first class.
Just darting it up.
So crazy.
This is a good example to me of them really feeling that they were trying to emulate the old movies vibe, like the looking into the mirror and getting the flashback and then getting the other flashback out to Phoebe after it. I was like, I enjoy this. I see what you're going for. It just feels weird in a modern movie. Like it didn't quite hit right. It felt more like an emulation than a good version of it.
Do we get the map here? I believe we do.
The map's later.
Is it later?
The map is when
they go to Greece.
When they're together and they have the plan to move on.
So off we go. And before he leaves, of course, I'm gonna get destroyed for this one. Salah's like, "Hey Andy, I found this." Gives in the bag. Of course, it's got the khakis. It's got the khaki shirt. It's got the tie. It's got the whip. It's got the hat. It's got all the hallmarks of Indiana Jones's classic outfit. And if you guys remember correctly, I railed on this in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because I'm like, change his fucking outfit. The man does not wear the same thing for 70 years straight of his life. Why would you even need that? It was like, just change it a little bit.
Disagree. Look at Mickey Mouse.
I mean, fair.
Both Disney.
But what I'll say is this, there's a reason why Captain America, every single time we see him, same outfit, different, right? Same concept, iconic blue, whatever. Sometimes it's sleeker, sometimes it's this, it's that. Just change it a little bit, guys. Give me a little something, right? It's weird that he shows up in Morocco and looks like a postman. He's got the tie. He's this. It's weird. He looks like he's doing Indiana Jones cosplay. Am I crazy? Am I the only one that thought this?
Oh no, I'm with you. I thought you were about to say, you're gonna get a lot of shit for this because I thought you were gonna say I loved it this time.
Oh, I did not like it
yeah,
this time.
no, I'm with you. Yeah,
It's one of those things where I'm like, I get it. That's his adventure outfit, but in this, I'm like, I liked seeing him do adventure in like the gray suit from New York because that's what you would wear during that time in New York. It's weird to me that he's like, I'm gonna go to the middle of the desert in this hot heat and bring a leather jacket with me. Very strange, and it just didn't work.
I think with it is, I think the delivery of it was kind of cheap. Like, oh yeah, I found it under my bed. It's like, what was it doing under your bed? Like, why do you have his outfit under your bed? Like, if it was Indiana going back to his home and being like, all right, I gotta bring out the big guns and instead of busting out the whip or something, then I'm like, all right, cool. Like even that, I'm like, whatever. But yeah, him just giving it to him, I'm like, all right, cool, like whatever.
The one defense of it is the line of him being like, "Go get him, Indiana Jones." It's like I like that he is a fanboy of this guy.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
like he
but-
sees him as this character, and he was keeping this outfit. But I agree, it didn't fully work.
It didn't work, and I think largely because, and this is me just bringing a lot of my history with it. Look, I mean, I've been watching this movie since the '80s for the last like 40 freaking years, right? I've seen this costume over and over again. It fit then. I think it fit during the time period then of like him pre-World War II, being in the desert environment wearing these things. This kind of makes sense. That's what you would wear to go on an archaeological dig anyway. It was just a pair of pants and this thing, and he just brought the jacket with him and had the fedora because people wore fedoras back then. In this time period, which I guess you could argue is the 60s, I guess people do still wear fedoras here, but it just sticks out. It's like it just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Not only that, but we go to Morocco, and when you see him in the bar with everyone else that's dressed in the bar in period stuff, it just looks really weird. It took me out of the movie like a piece of cosplay. But anyway, we're there. Phoebe Waller-Bridge has started the bidding and the auction. We get to meet Teddy, who is learning how to fly planes with all the American and British pilots that come through.
That's cool.
Hey
I
man,
kind of like it.
a nice little setup, payoff. Like, come on.
I like this kid. I like the actor. I like everything about Teddy. Giving Harrison.
Kids are difficult, right? Like kids
difficult.
in these movies, even in these movies, sometimes you're like, I don't know about this. This worked out.
Yep.
Yep. Of course, Indiana Jones interrupts that. It's weird. It's kind of a dad vibe where he's like, you come home with me right now, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you, dude? You're in such a dangerous situation right now. Do you not realize this, old man? And then we get, the Voller shows up. Everyone shows up. All of a sudden, everyone's just there, right?
Yep.
Indiana Jones cracks the whip. And everyone pulls out the guns, which I thought was funny. Unfortunately, spoiled in the trailer, but decent beat. All hell breaks loose. They don't really get him out of this in any creative way other than him just sort of ducking and dodging, right? And then where does he go from here? I don't think Phoebe Waller-Bridge saves him.
Eric Voss just texted me, please let me know that they've seen this, and it's the picture of you.
Blessing.
God.
It's one of those things where like no good deed goes unpunished, right? I come here every day and I put my all in, and I ask for nothing in return. Nothing.
Facts.
And all I
So
get,
selfless.
I give you the shirt off my back, and all I get
Just
for
Shirt
that
off my back.
is
It's the fact that
punish.
he's smiling so hard, and Andy just there with his drink, looking like a father and son.
If it wasn't for the fact that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, me, my friend Ty Root, it was just me and my friend Ty Root went to a Justin Timberlake concert when he was doing the Future Sex Love Sounds tour. And we saw him in San Jose or Concord. Got to meet him, took
So
a picture
long
of him.
ago.
It was a long time ago. Got to meet him, took a picture with him, and then I composited a picture of Fran just like this into that picture. I would be mad. But again, karma. Comes all the way around. Sometimes it travels 15 years to come back to the ass.
Lord.
Okay, I'll find that picture
Use
for you
the
guys.
dial
and
of
tweet it out.
destiny travels in the front.
There it
and
is.
future.
We somehow we're gone. They get the dial. Jeez, I'm blanking on what happens next.
I believe here the dial. I forget who the dial goes.
This is where we start like the little
This is
car
where we
seat-
start the car sequence, right?
chase.
Where the guy comes, he's like, I'm in my pajamas. You used to be my ex-wife or whatever. That's right. We go on the car
You know
sequence.
what though? This scene, this is why I was saying that I think she's kind of a highlight. I feel like this is where the momentum shifts from Indy being the focus to her being the focus, and I feel like they did a good job with the economy of storytelling here. Of like, it grounds her. We understand her background. Like up till this point in the movie, it's like, whose side are you on? I'm not really into this. Like you're saying one thing to Indy, but you're lying to him. It's clear. I don't like it. Whatever. Here it's like it all is given a sense of purpose, and the X kind of coming to attack them with this crazy ass sword, I feel like fills in a background for her that I'm like all of a sudden like, oh shit, You're an adventurer, and I'm rooting for you.
I love that she's not just a like when I think of that sort of chart that kind of tells you where characters are, like chaotic, neutral, or whatever the hell. Like, I love that she's not just this ultra protagonist that I thought she was gonna be. I'm glad it added this little wrinkle.
And I think it makes sense for the actress as well. Like when they first introduced her in the movie, I was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Like I only knew her from Fleabag.
Yeah.
And seeing her in Fleabag and seeing who her character actually is in this movie makes complete sense. Like actually, this is the kind of character that she would play.
Absolutely.
And this sequence has some pretty neat moments, I thought. I really enjoyed the moments of switching the cars and pulling her away. Like, I thought it added a lot of tension and just kind of fun to this whole area.
When show round number 2, like he comes up in the car, right? And like Indiana Jones comes up to get in the driver's seat. The way they like switch around felt very video gamey.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I feel like he just pressed triangle. Like they just switch spots in the car.
Very cool.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like the scene. I like the sequence. Again, I like where it was shot. I like all these things. Could have swore this was in Sicily, but I'm not. No, that's a different one. That's with the smaller Fiat. Love it. They end up, unfortunately, not. The bad guys get away. They get into a cool helicopter. They fly overhead as Indiana Jones is using gum to fix the tuk-tuk. And we're getting to know these characters a little bit. We get to know Teddy a little bit here too. And he's like, look, we got to go for the other piece of the dial. That's our only choice. Of course, they got to find the codex for the dial or something like that. Basically, what I'm telling you is this. We have to get, there's a sword that you get. It's a dagger, right? And if you stand on a specific bluff and you look at the relic of that big ball that came from the sky, it'll show you exactly where the other thing is to get to the other thing, to get to the other thing, to get to the other thing. It's what we're at.
Do you remember the theme song, Andy, maybe, for Indiana Jones?
Would you like me to sing it for you, Andy?
Really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great, guys. Off we go to Greece. He's like, I got a guy.
See, if I was funny, I would have sang the Indiana Jones theme song right there in that moment
Yeah.
because you were referencing Star Wars right there.
Mhm.
But I
don't
don't
actually
don't know the Indiana Jones theme song right now. I don't.
There
it is.
God
No,
damn
you
it,
guys are
dude.
wrong. It goes like this. Bum, 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 bum. Right? That's the one.
Here's how bad my
Dun, 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 dun.
memory has been lately. I'm sitting next to Eric Voss.
The Voss
and,
boss.
And y'all are talking about Mission Impossible. And I go, when did you see it? He goes, yesterday. I was here in the theater with y'all. I was like, I did like a Raven Simone, That's So Raven, like flashback. I was like, oh, I saw you walked in. I said hi to you. What is wrong with me that I don't remember that?
Well,
that is like, I don't know.
To be fair, we saw 2 movies in a row that were both over 2 hours, one back to back in the same theater.
Oh my God, you should, the way I react, we're walking, me and Nick both leave the restroom, we're both walking in the theater, and Nick goes, you know this movie's 3 hours and 20 minutes long? And I felt the most awake I have felt all week when I went, shut the fuck up. No. I was startled, bro.
I was like, bro, I'm just fucking. I have no idea how long.
That's
this
the
movie is.
same exact reaction I had when we were on our way back from Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
And like we're at the airport at 5 a.m. and Greg's walking my direction. He's like, flight got canceled. And I wasn't expecting that. And legitimately, like, I was freaked out.
I saw everything Bless had deflate from himself. And then Greg follows it up immediately with like, what was he saying? Hey, you want the 2 for $5 deal at
Carl's Jr.?
Carl's
Yeah,
Jr.
Carl's Jr. Yeah.
Damn it, Greg.
Love
And then
it.
our flight got delayed for 5 hours.
There it is.
From here, we go over to Greece, where we meet Indy's friend who's got a cool boat, and that is none other than Antonio Banderas.
Yes, it is.
And it is, I'm like, fuck, I forgot he was in this movie.
Kinda cool, right?
That's awesome. He's got a crew of sailors, divers, and he's like, cool, I'll drive you out there. It's gonna
Some
be
of them kind of sexy.
I mean,
A lot of
can
nice abs going on.
Can we talk about that one guy?
What's up with it?
Who the fuck is that
Who
guy?
the fuck's that guy?
First off, where did you get off, sir?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that, like, this is a boat of just sexy dudes that maybe kiss each other sometimes, maybe don't. I feel like this was like a very kind of like just open boat where
Like Pedro Pascal's
yeah.
character, the Viper.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
just like, hey man, we're free live.
Pleasure boat.
Dude,
Free live.
all I know is there's a moment where they go into the water for the first time, and there's one homie who's jacked out of his gourd, wearing those high bathing suit pants like Bond used to wear in the 60s, and he's just got the perfect tattoos, and I was like, I'll never beat that.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. I did not expect a scuba diving archaeological
it.
heist. Yeah, it was
Oh, I thought
kind
it
of
was
like oh, this is different, and I didn't see it coming, which like is pretty fun for this type of movie that I feel like we've seen a million times. Having said that, I've also played every Uncharted. So immediately I was like, this is Uncharted 4.
Yep. I also like that eels were introduced as like the
Same.
fear thing in this
So,
movie.
dude,
Such a
snakes
smart
of the
idea.
water.
So in,
Yeah.
but so not in. Because I'm like, I loved it. I love how they did it all. But it was one of those things when we first see it, and then their lines of dialogue talking about these goddamn eels. I'm like, this is awesome. And then they had to say it's snakes.
snakes
The
of the water.
We fucking get it.
Yeah.
We know, guys.
Well,
you didn't need to say it.
See, I love that line because Teddy goes, "They look like snakes," and Harrison Ford goes, "No, they don't. Don't say that."
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's fine, but I'm used to them doing this kind of thing practically. I don't want to see him covered in snakes. It's kind of like the equivalent to Tom Cruise jumping out of a plane. I got to see Harrison Ford with centipedes all over him, or I just don't feel like the scene really sells itself.
I wish they weren't just like super crazy fast erratic eels. Like that took away some of the tension to me. I wanted Indiana Jones to be reaching for whatever this thing is and have suddenly here's a fuckload of eels coming out and you're like, oh my god, this is creepy as hell. But it was like kind of too fast to really feel worried or freaked out by all of like the screen was just a blur of like hissing noises and like shit kind of flying at him. I wish it was like a bit slower and easier to kind of feel
the eel.
Thank you.
Either way, interesting that they have to have the air with them. They don't have tanks. They have to get the air threaded. Which I thought was cool. I was like, this is interesting, right? We know what's going to happen. Boat's going to pull up.
But we knew it was going to happen. But it still made me feel kind of stressed.
It did.
Like when they're up there and it's like that one homie just dies and drowns. There's nothing scarier than drowning.
Yeah.
Interesting though. I had a thought. You cut
Had
one.
the same thought.
You have 4 cables. You randomly cut one. How do you not know? How do you know whose that is? Could have been Indy's. Could have been the most important person that had that piece of information that you needed. They just randomly cut one dude and then wheeled everyone else up. I was like, why not just wheel everyone
So
up?
look, this is definitely I just missed something somewhere. Why did they need Indy?
They
Because there's
We're-
multiple points in this movie. I'm like, why didn't you just shoot this motherfucker?
There's too many moments of like, why are you keeping him alive? You're shooting everybody else
shot
in
the
the
fucking
scene.
bookkeeper at the library.
You're not holding him for information. He's not somebody that you respect. He's just a dude that you could have killed, and like it's like the ultimate plot armor, and we get it. But
I think they wanted Helena, not Indy, because I think she was like the expert on the subject. Because she was the one that figured out like where, like I guess she kind of I don't know. He's
already
an
had
expert.
Helena.
He's an expert. Well, they need the other half of the dial.
Yeah.
And they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
They need someone to guide them. It's always like that. They always got to get Indy, and Indy's the one that knows everything and speaks Phobos language
Code.
or whatever their code, right?
Speaks
We
code.
did miss a part where we get a little backstory here. I went to the bathroom, but Tim filled me in. That we have some B story here where Marion is leaving Indy because Indy's son Mutt died in the war. Went to presumably Vietnam, despite his father telling him not to go.
Great
because He's
acting
seen the
from
horrors of
Harrison
war.
Ford here.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I didn't miss this scene because I would have liked to have seen it.
It was good. Yeah,
This
it's
was
a
a
highlight.
very touching moment from Harrison Ford, and like him just showing off, like I still got the goods, man, and I'm going to deliver a very tearful, choking back tears, kind of like frog in my throat delivery, and I thought it was really damn good, and it made me feel.
Yeah, made me feel. The context of this one was Helena was asking him if you could go back in time, what would you change? What would you do? And he was like, I would stop my son from enlisting. And then they went through the conversation more of him explaining like he died there and he went there for the wrong reasons and didn't need to happen. And because he died, my wife, Marion, who is from the movies, my wife, she never got over the grief.
Yeah, he wasn't able to console her.
And he was like, and I was not able to be there for her the way I needed to, even though I tried and even though I wanted to. And that led to where we're at now. So it was just like, it was a really good explanation of it all and also tying it into the dial itself and like kind of like giving like reasons for like what they're doing. I don't know. I thought that shit was pretty damn well done. And it explained what's up with Shia LaBeouf.
Fair enough.
My thing with like the airlines thing, right? Like if you cut the line of air, do you drown immediately?
Yeah, I mean, you have whatever's air is left in the line to suck in, and then you get water.
Because like they cut it and he immediately like fucking like started freaking out. I'm like, I feel like you can hold your breath for at least like
You probably
30
could have. I mean, also he was he was pretty far down there, but he was close enough to the surface to see the boat. You feel like he could have just done the old diver thing, exhale, and just go up with his breath.
That's what I was thinking.
I didn't watch the movie, but from what you're explaining, like lines would have gone in, or water would have gone in the line, and you would have been breathing that in.
Yeah.
And like
I think he might have inhaled that.
accidentally breathed in a little water.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I mean, you choke, and if you're surrounded by water, you know.
Science with Kev.
Kevin.
Appreciate it, Kev.
From here we get pulled up, and Phoebe's like, "Listen, I'm gonna play like I'm one of you. I'm gonna read this tablet for you, which is covered in wax, and it's cool, and it's this language that I've never heard of before, but she nailed it in 150 quid from Harrison Ford. And meanwhile, he's like, "What are you doing?" And she has a stick of dynamite on her. Did we see the dynamite beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, they must have set that up. So I was like, what? Because I go to the bathroom, I come back, I'm like, where the fuck she get dynamite from?
That was the setup to them walking out. Like there was this whole scene of her kind of like flirting with some of the hot guys on the boat. And then she looked down and she was like looking through drawers and shit, and she saw dynamite. And then Indy came in and was like, "Yeah, what the fuck you doing?" Like, and she made some comment about like, "Boom goes the dynamite." No, she didn't do that. I don't know what she did. But
Boom goes the dynamite.
I'm gonna blow you away.
They walk outside, and that's when they have the conversation about the kid.
I thought this was cool.
Yeah.
I was not like I was expecting her to keep being a little douchebag.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool.
But she's not. They get away. They figure out that this tablet's not made of wax and wood. It's way too heavy. They melt it, and it's this dial of destiny that is like leads them to the other dial of destiny. This is actually a codex that tells them where the other one is, and it's in I think it's in Greece or Athens. No, I can't remember what it was. Maybe Sicily. This might be where they go to Sicily. Yeah, that's where they go to Sicily.
This is where we see the map, I think.
Right. This is where we get the map, and then we get a moment that I don't love, which is that Mads Mikkelsen is just like, they're going west, not east, and he just figures out somehow that they're going to Sicily. I think, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird. There's a lot of places in that country. It's not a small country. It's not a big country, but like big enough that I wouldn't know where the fuck you're going if you were just heading west. A lot of places west.
Thank God they were able to get off that boat.
Well,
Because like when
yeah.
they threw dynamite and exploded part of the boat, I'm like, they're stuck there
Risky.
forever.
Risky move.
Bad guys are done.
We go over there. We get a little moment where Teddy gets made fun of by some Italian kids, so he robs one of them as he does. So the other Harrison Ford and Helena figure out they got to go up into to Troy's ear or whatever the hell it was called, Athens' ear, the ear of Archimedes, whatever it was, which is a big cave over there. They steal a wedding car. They get up there. Oh, Teddy's kidnapped, so they steal a wedding car, a Fiat. Again, just
I'm
race
appreciating
around.
this part of the recap because this is where I started dozing off.
Yeah. Mike did too. No, that was yesterday. Sorry. My bad. That was 2 days ago. That was during
the other movie.
Red Dead Reckoning moment.
Wait, how do you fall asleep during that movie?
Ask Roger, because I just hear this. I see Mike. I look over. I see Mike. Mike's like, "This is the greatest movie ever made," right? And then I was like, "Cool." And then 5 minutes later, and I look over and I lock eyes with Roger, who's sitting right across from Mike, and we just start laughing. And Mike goes, "This is the greatest movie I've ever seen, man." And I'm like, "Dude, you just fell asleep. It's hilarious."
Even when he's not asleep, I like quiet sequences of Mission Impossible. I'm like, stop breathing loud, man. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I heard him snoring at his desk the other day,
Yeah.
and he was standing up. He has a stand-up desk.
He's like a horse. They just sleep
You
standing.
need help. Something's wrong.
So we chase around. We get up to the mountain, and she's like, "Listen, we got to trade."
I'm dying inside. That's what he always says. That's what he always replies with.
She's like, "We got to go get the other half of the dial because we'll trade it for Teddy. If we get there first, we can beat him. We'll have leverage." Makes sense. They go. When this is where we start getting the temple exploration, right? We get the caves. They see the crescent moon up there. He's like, "We got to climb." And Harrison Ford, great moment. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Just give me a minute,
Yeah.
okay? I'm taking a second to realize that what the hell am I doing 40 feet above the air,
Yeah.
doing all this stuff? Like, what's going on?"
Everything hurts. My vertebrae are all like
Yeah.
whatever he says. This is a
And
great moment.
punch
I like
1,000
it.
times.
I think this is about where I realized that I'm dozing off. I
Mhm.
stand up and I walk to the bathroom.
Smart.
Not because I needed to use the bathroom. I just needed to take a walk so I
Get
can
the
wake myself
circulate.
up.
Yeah.
And I come back and I sit down, and I was good for the rest of the movie.
So we get the water displacement moment here. We get Teddy and the big guy get handcuffed together. Teddy ends up killing that big guy,
Horrifying.
which is great.
But again, Mads Mikkelsen just really quick to be like, leave him, man.
Sleep,
Done.
bro.
Yeah.
I don't need him.
They fell in that little river. Leave him.
I love that Teddy was the one to take him out too.
Love it.
In like in the smartest way
The
possible.
big, it's like David versus Goliath, right?
Yeah.
Little tiny kid, massive 7'2" Dutchman.
And then I like the payoff of him being like, all right, reach, pull, like taking
Learning how to
linking back to the
Yeah,
this
that was funny. Harrison Ford and I think they get the other half.
I might
of
take
the
that advice
dial
because I don't know how to swim.
I don't know how to swim either.
Yeah.
Oh, Harrison Ford gets in a shootout here and gets shot. And Phoebe and Teddy, Phoebe's like, "We got to go back from him." And Teddy's like, "We are going back from him. I found the alternate way." He goes up. They bring Harrison Ford with them, along with a full piece of the dial, to which we go to the airport to start the third act of this film.
Who gets shot?
Harrison Ford gets shot here. This is where he gets shot in the arm.
I thought he got shot on the plane.
No, he gets shot. He gets shot here, and they drag him onto the plane. He's shot for a solid 7 hours.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Oh yeah, he was. That's my thing is I've never seen somebody no sell a bullet like this where he gets shot and it's like, oh shit, all right, cool, I'm
Right.
shot in the shoulder. And for like 7 hours, this man is bleeding out but never dies.
You gotta assume that old.
As a 90-year-old man, that is very impressive.
You gotta assume that old blood is just like really sludgy and solid, more solid than liquid. At
It's
this
very
Oh,
dehydrated.
like,
hard to bleed out.
Yeah, clogged immediately,
Yeah.
clotted immediately.
Am I the only one that thinks like, look, movie logic? If they don't die within the first 30 seconds of getting shot, they're gonna be okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
If
that
he
kind of
let-
sucked.
If he lived to get to the old Roman era, well, he's gonna be fine.
Well,
right?
that's why I was so mad about the Godzilla movie with freaking Walter White.
The first one?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I was so mad in that moment because it's like Walter White and his fucking here they are and they got hurt but they're here in the doctor's office and you as a viewer are like, oh, they're gonna be okay, and then he dies like minutes later. It's like, what the
Why'd
fuck?
you do that?
Why would you do that?
Happens like that.
Best part of the movie.
This is a little weird, but she's like, hey, we see him loading him onto the plane. At this point, Voller and all of them have switched over to their Nazi gear, and like, here's the plan, everyone. We're going to use this dial of destiny to find a temporal rift in time. We're going to go back to
Time
Fisher.
Yeah.
And we are going to use this to go back to a specific time in the war where I can kill Hitler, take over. He goes, basically, I saw all the things that Hitler did wrong. I knew them when they were happening, but I just didn't have enough power to stop him and tell him, like, don't do that. So now I'm just going to go back, kill Hitler, and take over for him and win the war.
I expect somebody who's gonna kill adult Hitler.
Yeah. Again, I'm coming after 12-year-old Hitler, as long as he's not taller than me.
now. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
if he's taller than me,
I feel like
I
at,
gotta get 11.
at 15 you can fight back. And so like
So 15's fair fight?
yeah, so that's a fair fight. I'm fighting you at 15.
That's cool. That's fine. I mean, I'm 43, so 15, that makes sense. We'll meet in the middle.
I'd kill a baby.
You kill what?
Just keep going.
Oh man.
Fair enough.
Fling him in the ocean, you know.
We get they put him onto the thing, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Instead of getting in the plane to follow them, goes, I'm going to get on the plane first. Teddy, can you fly the other plane? And this is where I'm like, what's the logic behind this?
No, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I still don't get it.
We needed it to the end so they could fly him back. It was a plot device that was poorly written and poorly conceived.
But is there a logical reason for why there was two planes?
No.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
would
she-
like you needed some sort of escape plan, some sort
Yeah,
of prayer.
I think she was just like, yeah, start the plane so we can escape. But then he followed. Maybe he saw her jump in, was like, oh shit, maybe I gotta follow them now.
See, I wish it had been like, Teddy, this is too dangerous for you. And him like, no, I'm coming with you no matter what. And having her go, okay, don't worry about it. And then run away. And him going, shit, I have to follow. And the only way I can follow is, I'll hack into the plane over there and figure it out. But her telling him, can you fly one of those? And him being like, no, but I'll try, is bad for her character. That makes me think, wow, you're putting this kid's life in danger. He's never flown a plane before, and you're just okay with this? For what? A backup plan? For what? Are they going to fucking
No,
jump from
hold
plane
on.
to plane? What's going on here? We're going
Wait.
into the middle of the ocean.
I think that in that moment, she's known him for a long time. You hear her talk about their past and how she's been raising him this whole time. Not raising him, but you know what I mean. And
Big sister.
She knows what he's capable of. And I think in that moment, she's like, can you fly that? Because I want us to go fly after them. But then he just pieces out and runs off on his own. And she's like, what the he's just gone. He just left. And now I guess I got to get in the motorcycle and chase after the main plane because I don't know what the hell he's doing over there.
Maybe.
That's like the most logical thing that.
Respect
It was
to the
a little messy.
respect to the guy that's such a deep sleeper that he slept through a plane like lifting off.
That's Greg
Yeah.
Miller. Yeah.
For reals.
It's like that's a serious level of sleep right there.
Which, again, another convenient thing because the kid's like, you're like, how are they going to land? Oh, the pilot's in this plane.
If he,
It's very weird.
I feel like if he got on the phone with somebody and they coached him through it, he could land that plane.
God damn it.
I always thought that. Did you guys know that I flew the Dark Star in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I am one of the fastest men alive.
Wow.
I want you guys to know this. Understand that. Me and Tom Cruise. Me and T. Cruise. So from here, we go through the time rift, and Harrison Ford's like, hey, man, this ain't going to go the way you want. Continental drift. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, continental drift.
They haven't
Archimedes
gone through it
didn't
yet.
know about it. He couldn't possibly have known about continental drift, which plays into his way. You don't know what time frame you're going to go. It turns out old Archimedes did fucking know, though. Harrison, shut up. It was a misdirect. They try to back out. He tries to abort. It doesn't work. People are bridged on board of the plane at this
They get
point.
sucked into the
And
time
we get
hole.
sucked through the time crack. And where do we pop out?
And it looks awesome.
It
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
The visuals
The
of
shot
this,
of
yeah.
it, like the rift and the fissure.
Yeah.
And then we see
Really
the plane. It's
badass.
like, okay, this is about to be sick.
really cool.
Love that it shuts off the engine, kills the plane, kills everything that goes through it that's electric. That's pretty cool. And he's like, there it is, man. Italy. 1941. Except there's sails, and oh god, this is 2,000 years ago. Shit, we went back to the original time of when the siege of Syracuse was happening, not Syracuse, New York.
Good callback.
There it is,
Yeah.
funny callback. The other plane goes through, cuts
Shit
to. We
was
have
awesome.
a moment where they got to start both planes, and then
Because in that moment, I'm like, oh, wow, they did it. It did work. And he was right.
Yep.
Those are normal boats. And you start to get closer and closer, and they are not normal ships. And it's just such, it was kind of paced so perfectly to have reveal.
we missed a big part here for the setup of this, where when they look at the tomb of Archimedes, they see a propeller on the side of it,
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
wearing Voller's watch,
Yeah.
which they
Sick
made a
as hell.
point of they kind of showed it for a second. You're like, oh fuck,
He's
They're gonna
wearing
go
a
back.
watch, chat. We don't know whose watch it is.
Well, at this point, we see Voller put the watch on when he gets on the plane, and you're like, oh shit, this is gonna work, and oh shit, they're gonna go back to like Archimedes has either. I thought it was either gonna be Voller's body that was in the tomb, or they
what I
swapped
thought, too.
watches. He lost his watch. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna go back to Archimedes' time, and
I must have not caught Voller putting on the watch, that shot.
they did a
Because-
moment where he opens up and you see the Nazi uniform, and the watch is there, and he takes it and he starts putting it on.
Yeah, I missed the watch.
Because it was a lot cooler for me to see Archimedes pull the watch off of the
From
dead
that
body.
dead ass body, man. That thing
It's so badass.
burned.
Yeah, and that reveal of like, oh man, yeah, they've got propellers. Oh yeah, there's a watch. That was the fucking for me. That was probably one of the coolest parts.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since everyone's saying, "Oh my God, they have dragons."
Yeah.
Right. Both sides think there's dragons. Neither side knows what's going on. But the Romans are like, "Shit, they got dragons. We got to beat the dragons." And then they just start getting gunned down by these Nazis. You're like, "Holy shit!"
It was sick.
The Romans back off. Archimedes and the Greeks are saved, but the plane has crashed. He gets that. Harrison Ford's like, dying, and so we get this great scene where everything's done, and Teddy and the other pilot land, and Helen is like, "You got to come with us." And up walks Archimedes, and he's like, "You need to leave me here. I want
This
to
is
stay
incredible.
It's so awesome.
here." And this could have very easily not worked, right? Like if this had been done a few years back by maybe a less competent director, this would have been the cheesiest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life. But they nailed this.
Nothing fucking cooler than it's Archimedes he'd picked up the dial as well, and
The fully formed dial, and we saw the
and it's
dial
like-
on his workbench, like not put together.
and now understands like, oh my god, like this will work eventually. And I was like tearing up of just like kind of hype and excitement and emotion in that moment of him saying, "What year did you come from?"
Mhm.
And I'm saying 2,000 years like from now, like. Dude, this whole sequence is so badass,
yeah.
dude.
It was so cool and so creative and so well done that it made me wish that they had gotten
Yeah.
here earlier, and the rest of the movie had been like a Turtles
Oh.
in Time adventure.
That would have been cool.
It really made me think about that. I wish it would have been like, oh, the next Fisher's not for like a week or something like that, and we're stuck back here, or we're stuck in Nazi Germany of that time, and old Harrison Ford gets to go back to Nazi Germany, which I thought could have been interesting too. All this raised a lot of really fun, interesting, imaginative moments for me that I was like, it sucks that we got here 2 hours into this movie, but
But you also just see like so much emotion from Archimedes and knowing that he is successful in what he's trying to figure out, and the math does work and the things do compute, and it's just cool seeing him like, oh fuck, I do figure this out.
Yeah.
And I don't know it now. Like, oh, it's so cool.
That plus
But-
the earnestness of Harrison Ford or Indiana Jones wanting to stay and being like,
Yeah.
holy cow, like you are a legend, like you are actual history, and him actually showing like positive emotion to that, I thought was
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, he has a great line where he goes, I've fantasized about this my whole life.
Yeah.
Being able to come back and see a moment like this. I've studied it. This is like a dream come true. Leave me here. But really what he's saying is I have nothing to go back for.
Yeah.
And of course, Helen is like, you can come back for me and now for Teddy and your family, right? There's a couple pieces here that I don't want to gloss over. One is that Archimedes gives them back the fully formed dial because he realizes, and then it's told to us, that the dial is not a time travel device. It is a portal on both sides of time that only goes back to this specific moment. Why? Do you guys catch why?
Was it because they wanted to be saved?
They wanted to be saved.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm hoping that someone read this in history and comes back and gives us aid. And in doing so, brought the dragons back that scared off the Romans. It's fucking wild. It was an
It was like an
interesting
infinite
concept.
time loop type situation.
Yes, very
I
much
didn't think
so.
about it on that level. I
Yeah.
thought he was just like trying. I just read it as like, oh yeah, he's just trying to do anything to get saved or whatever. But when
Yeah.
you explain it like that, that's actually really cool.
It was pretty weird.
That's awesome.
It's pretty crazy. And so that's why that specific date when he knew they were going to siege was like the date he programmed into it later because he knew it was going to work. And he knew that he'd already seen him come back. So he's like, oh shit.
Dang, yeah.
Here we
I thought it
That's
was
really
literally
cool.
just like he just wanted to come back to him so that he would know this thing works.
Yeah.
Like that if he doesn't the one to figure it out, when
Yeah.
someone does figure it out, he'll eventually know, but that's way
Well,
cooler.
it's a throwaway line of exposition, and normally I would criticize this, but Phoebe Waller-Bridge says like, "Oh, he did this on this is the only place this comes to this day on this spot because he wanted help. He wanted someone to come save him." And I was like, "Fuck!" And then Harrison Ford's like leaving. She goes, "Okay, bah." Just knocks his old ass out.
Yeah.
Now this man, this 80-year-old man, has been punched by Nazis. He's been punched by thieves in Morocco.
12-foot tall man.
Wombat?
Yeah. But the wombat knocks his ass out finally. You have to imagine it's the accumulation of a lot of hits.
I feel
to
like
the
that plus the bleeding out from the bullet
Yeah.
should have killed that.
Yeah, he should be dead.
I mean, it's 89 and a half
Like
years
Danny
old.
McBride in Pineapple Express. Like, I don't know if it's just like the blood loss or if I'm hallucinating.
He just passes out. What happened? From here, he wakes back up in New York, present day. They've brought him back, and he's like, "You should have left me there." And he's like, I have nothing to come back to." And she's like, "Come on, you do." And then in walks Sala, in walks the kids, in walks Teddy, and in walks Marion. And man, just shout out to Karen Allen. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for coming back one last time. They have a great scene together. They mirror the scene where he was hurt and she kissed here and he kissed here and all that stuff. It's super cute. These two actors have had great chemistry. They've probably been friends for a while, at least known each other for the better part of 50 years. And I thought the scene worked. And we leave with on the closing shot of his fedora hanging out because it was wet, because they had been through an adventure together. And it closes on the iris wipe. Not so fast. He grabs it, swipes it back in, and then we close. And that is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
And you said it great earlier. It's like you leave with a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
With the third act, or I think you said that part. But the third act stuff, it's like, yeah, this movie ended. I feel like all of us were like, hey,
Yeah.
hit us with that RaGu BaGu.
Did it die? And did my thing die?
I think your thing's dead. No, your thing's on.
RaGu BaGu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bad Guys Talk Bad Guys for the Indiana Jones series. Tim, hit us with that list.
I will. I went back to listen to it, and the list is as follows. Number 1 is The Thuggy Cult from Temple of Doom.
Awesome.
Number 2 is Tot and Bellic from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Love it.
Number 3 is More Nazis and the Nazi Sympathizers from The Last Crusade. And number 4 is just a quote from Nick. Remember how cool Cate Blanchett was in Thor Ragnarok? From Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Remember when she was in a good movie?
Yeah.
Where do we want to rank Mads and the crew? Because, look, I feel like they're pretty high, if only because their archetype's dope. I feel like Mads, we want more from him because he's such a great actor, and him himself, as the character, was like, eh. But I feel like surrounding him with the giant guy and with the blondie guy, that shit was cool, man.
No.
I liked all the writing around Mads too. I think his motivations were there. Him talking about how I want to correct all of Hitler's mistakes. There's nothing more scary you can say than that, right? Especially with time travel. I liked him. I liked him a lot from the writing. Even though, performance wise, I would have loved a lot more. But he's still Mads Mikkelsen, so he did fine.
I would probably put him above the Nazis and the Nazi sympathizers from Last Crusade. I'll put him above that.
So number 3. So pretty much midway through. Underneath
I could
Temple
see
of Doom
that.
and Raiders.
Because I think the
fine.
Raiders Nazis were psychotic. We had the guy, the little weird, creepy guy that carries a coat hanger wherever he goes. I mean, that's the kind of some fucking creepy shit right there.
Yeah.
Mads, I think, did everything he possibly could with the material given. He's scary and menacing because he's a man of science, and science doesn't have morals or logic. It is just science, and that's always scary. And he's genius, and I always like an actor that can be scary without the physicality of it, but he wasn't that scary. He was just interesting.
I think to
And
me,
that's okay.
The thing that brings it down, I feel like I would argue for them to be higher, but the fact that I just don't believe he didn't die, and they didn't try to explain that whatsoever, I think kind of really lessens him as a villain.
And
Also-
before we solidify, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also feel like I could have taken him in a fight.
Mads?
Mads Mikkelsen in this movie. Yeah, like that character.
I agree.
Plus,
didn't
we've already
seem
established that
menacing
you and I
whatsoever.
can't beat up a 14-year-old Hitler.
Yeah, but 13. I'll take out 13. Yeah, I'll take out 13-year-old guy. But no, I feel like his character in this movie needed the bodyguards, because without those bodyguards, he was doing nothing. There was multiple times where it looked like he was blocking his face in fear because he didn't know what was about to happen.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the character.
He's a mathematician, not a fighter.
Does it help at all that Boyd Holbrook's character is just named Clobber?
It does. I think it does.
That's
Cool
his whole
mustache,
name in
dude.
this. Just says Clobber.
Yeah.
It's not on your screen, Nick.
That's Zendaya. I don't know. This is the just IMDb.com. Wow, what do you think about that?
No,
You okay?
it's the shot from that trailer where she's in that movie about threesomes and tennis.
Oh, right.
And is that like
the good shot?
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
What a shot.
I didn't choose it. IMDb. Whoever
Nick
slots
computer
the
and that's just sitting there.
whoever slots the carousel for IMDb picked it. Okay, shut up, Blessing. Call me out.
Didn't know you're a fan.
Bless, where would you rank them?
It's tough because like you read through that list and I cannot remember who any of those people are. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna agree with Andy.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Nick, are you with us too?
Yeah, I would say mid too.
Yeah, cool. Dial. Cool. Now it's time to rank. Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. You almost got a spit take from Bless there. All right, ranking Indiana Jones. Currently at number 1, we have The Last Crusade. Number 2, we have Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 3, Temple of Doom. And number 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I will start the bidding at 4. I know that we waffled a little bit on Temple of Doom, but the movie is iconic. It's the movie that most people think of when they think of Indiana Jones, and it was different than the rest of them. It was the one movie where he doesn't fight a Nazi or a Nazi-esque regime like the Russians. I think it did a little bit. It tried to be a little bit different, despite the fact that it's a bit of a sign of its time. And I think it's a more fun movie and it's more iconic.
I also put it at number 4. I want to put it out there that I want to argue it higher. Like I really want to put it up there higher because I think that it's in that conversation. I just think that I liked a lot of Temple of Doom. There's a lot of shit that I really, really didn't like. Listening back in the review, Bless, me and you both really agreed. The highs are higher in Temple of Doom than the rest of the franchise, but the lows are a lot lower. And so that makes it difficult. So I can't put it above it. So I'm going to stick with number 4.
I am going to put this at number. Oh, man, I really want to say number 3 as well, just to be a little different, David. You know, but I'm going to put it at number 4 as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I wish the movie was as good as like what the ending gave us here.
Yeah, I think if the lows here were higher for this movie, then I could see it moving up above a Temple of Doom. But yeah, when I think of Indiana Jones, when I think of the first, I guess 4 movies that we've seen, Temple of Doom does stick out to me more than the other ones, and maybe that's probably just because it's dynamically different. But also, the elements I think of are the things that stick out as like fucking cool. Especially when you talk about like the setting of that movie and a lot of like the darker shit they did with that movie. And yeah, like I think for me the thing that sticks out about this last movie that we just saw, right, the Dial of Destiny, is that third act. The third act is really good, but the rest of the movie still is kind of meh. You know, like I could have left. I can take it or leave it. If I had to rewatch one, I'd probably rewatch Temple of Doom over Dial of Destiny. And so yeah, I'm going number 4.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So there you have it, everybody. The rankings are number 1, Last Crusade. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 3, Temple of Doom. 4, Dial of Destiny. And 5, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Let us know what you think about Indiana Jones as a franchise in its relation to Wolfenstein and in its video game sales capacity, and how excited you are for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which the interview will be dropping in just a few short days for y'all. I can't wait for you to see that. But until next time, Bless, it's been a pleasure having you on an in review. Always something fun.
How do I get onto Dead Reckoning Part 2? You guys already recorded Part 1, right?
Yeah, we did Part 1. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever that movie happens in 10 years.
5 years
But
from
yeah, until next time, play us out, Andy.